Hi! So I decided to make this channel even though it's really strange for me to talk to a camera, because when I was pregnant with my son, I really struggled to find other videos that I could really relate to and who had the same values that I did. So being a minimalist, being vegan, having that kind of Buddhist influence as well, wanting to do homeschooling, looking at Montessori and Steiner schools as inspiration. There's a lot of different worlds, and I found that it was really hard to try and find anyone that kind of quite had at least maybe two or three of those that they were talking about, so that it would maybe be a little bit relatable for me. So I just decided to make my own channel. And even though I'm not ecstatic or excited about adding to the online chatter and the online noise, because I feel like everyone's got a blog these days, everyone's got something to say, and that's both, I guess, a good thing and maybe a bad thing too. So even though there's a huge part of me that isn't super excited about being on a camera and, like I said, adding to the online noise, there is also a part of me that thinks that I do have a particular view of the world, and I do have a particular approach to how I'm going to bring up my son, and I have a particular set of values and experiences that have shaped me into who I am today. And I think I'm happy to share that, and in case there's anyone else who's like me, or maybe has 3 things in common with me, or 4 things, or 6 things, and maybe these videos will help you too if you're also going through a very similar journey that I am. So a little bit more about me. I'm basically just, like I said, I'm a first-time mom. So I have my little son. He's only 5 months old, so very newbie first-time mom. And I live in the countryside, which is really beautiful. Obviously, that really helps with my approach to life, which is, to try and slow down and live intentionally, naturally, by living outside of the city and living in the country. That does tend to happen. Country life just is slower by nature. So I've got a really crazy Springer Spaniel dog who's featuring here in a second. I try and go on walks with her as much as possible as well, just to keep trying to include her, even though obviously it was really hard at the beginning. With a newborn, it was pretty much impossible to take care of the dog as well, but I'm much more capable of doing it now that my son's 5 months old. And it's just a really pretty area. So even when it's rainy and it's not sunny like this, it's still really nice. You smell the wood smoke burning, and there's ponies, and there's horses, and there's deer, and there's sheep. And as always, my trusty Springer Spaniel companion. So in most of my videos, I'll probably be talking about how I'm doing mom life through my lens, which is that of someone who is a vegan, who is a minimalist, who is a full-time practicing yogi, or was before she gave birth, because it's a lot harder to find the time now, but it will come back and I will be able to make time for it. And I had a blog which I kept up for a whole year, and I only had to stop because I gave birth and I didn't have time to keep the blog going. But I had a really great blog where I'd post once a week about yogi topics, so really exploring that yogic path. So for me, it's just this kind of approach that I'm going to put into my videos, that I found that I really struggled to find anyone else out there. Bless you. Who had the same kind of values or the same kind of approach. So yeah, like I said, hopefully this will be of interest to anyone else who's got a similar outlook. So another thing I also really focus on is slow living and intentional living. So for me, I don't try and do it in this kind of aesthetic way. So another big difference that I'm going to try and portray on here is I'm just going to try and be quite real, because I feel like a lot of people aren't that real on here. They do a lot of really aesthetic, cute things, but that doesn't mean that it's always a great depiction of reality. So I'm going to try and be really real about what I share. And yeah, I think in terms of like slow living and intentional living, I try and prioritize time, over earning tons of money, even though I have the opportunity and the chance to do that with my work. I much rather prefer to be a stay-at-home mom and, you know, prioritize my time in real life and with my son, rather than maybe spending all of my time maybe working in an office or things like that, which for me it's just about priorities. So those are some of my priorities: time over really, you know, other things. So time with family, time with friends, time living life, and that's basically what an intentional approach to life is. So making sure that you're making conscientious choices every day, and, you know, checking in with yourself constantly throughout the day to remind yourself to slow down. So these are all the different kind of things that are going to seep into my videos and into my approach to motherhood, because that's just who I am. Have a lot of different worlds in me, a lot of travel, a lot of, you know, I speak 2 languages and I have a lot of different experiences. So yeah, I found it like, even though there's so much chatter and there's so much going on the internet, I didn't really find anyone that I could relate to a whole bunch in my motherhood journey, because I find that it's really hard to find other kind of you know, moms who might be going through it in the same way that I am, like I said. So it's not just like maybe finding a vegan mom, but it's also finding someone who's a minimalist, and one who maybe, you know, puts yogic approaches to life into their motherhood journey. So there's just a lot of different ways that I like to approach the world and my day-to-day life, and it's really different to most people. And yeah, hopefully, like I said, hopefully you'll find it interesting too, and hopefully, like I said, even though there's so much chatter on the internet, I'm going to add to it by making my own set of videos, in the hopes that maybe there is just going to be like that one other person that's going to be interested in my approach, and they're going to find value in what I share. Like I was doing with my writing and my blog, but it's a lot easier to actually film than it is to make time to write and blog at the minute anyway. So yes, thank you for watching and thanks for being here.